We're telling your followers that you've started a live video. Okay, so hello, introduce yourself to the world.
Hi, I'm me. And you are?
I'm you. Okay, so we're doing this live because it is Caroline's 27th year as a tattoo artist. And we have some questions, and also some people can ask questions if you want to jump in and ask a question for to Caroline. But we can start off with, what first inspired you to pursue your current path?
Okay, what pursued me? Like, what persuaded me to do this? So, I basically was in college, undeclared, and determined to give that school 4 years of my life only, and only 4 years. So, I decided that I was going to start off with, I think, psychology. And they told me 8 years of schooling could get me somewhere. And I was like, yeah, no, this school is getting 4 years and only 4 years. And then I went to the music department and I was like, yep, nope. And walked out without even talking to the dean. And then I just happened to be wandering up to the student center and passed a poster for a tattoo convention that was held in Elizabeth. And that was 1994. And I told my sister about it, and I told my ex-fiance about it. And we went. And it was very intriguing to be in a room filled with people who were excited about what they were doing and wanting to share the information. And so then I was like, well, I think that that's really cool. And that's what like drew me in, like the community aspect, the healthy competition, the sharing of knowledge, and all of that. So that's why I'm here now.
Cool. Was there a pivotal moment or turning point that shaped your direction?
Was there? Yeah, many. There's been a lot, like even from like small stuff, to like larger, things. I guess one of the things that shaped where I'm at right now is going from one shop environment to another. Like after I left my mentor shop, I was in plenty of different shops, and none of them had that healthy, healthy competition environment that I first was in when I was in Elizabeth with Sam and my ex-fiance. Like we had this competitiveness where it was like, who could do the kanji cleaner and faster? Who can make the better, put together the cleanest and nicest portfolio? It was just, but we also were like, hey, you're coming in off of your days off, so we're going to give you the first walk-in. Like it was like this healthy, happy, like we're here as a community and we're here to build everybody up that's here. And, I think I definitely had that more with Sam than I did with my ex-fiance. My ex-fiance was not, he wasn't supportive. So, but I carried that with me through all the other shops that I had gone through. And it wasn't there, like it, so coming here and opening up my own shop like 10 years ago, then it was like, that needs to be here. Like it's the community has to be there. The sharing the wealth has to be here. Like all of those things have to be here. And then one of the other pivotal thingies is, finding out that I'm on the hypermobility spectrum of disorders, and like having like a chronic, medical condition, and just making sure that that there's a work-life balance, and that like your body is the extension of your machine, so you need to keep that in working order. So yeah.
Okay. What does success mean to you today, and has that changed over time?
Jesus. Yeah, like success. Today, that is defined by waking up, having a pain-free day, and being able to tattoo. Um, but years past and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if I necessarily had like a definition of success. Like, I wouldn't even, um, I was never a trophy chaser. I never had like it was Hemanita, my friend Hemanita, like that I had to have as my booth aide, grabbing shit from my portfolios to then put it into the competitions at the shows because I wouldn't do it myself. Like that, I don't know, like that doesn't validate me. So like I didn't really care too much about that. Um, so I know other people out there that they want to collect their trophies. They can collect their trophies, whatever works for you. So, but that wasn't my thing. I think just success was just going in and just tattooing and having a good time.
How do you handle criticism, public or private?
Criticism. It comes in from everywhere, like being on, being on Ink Master, that was very public. But at that time was when I was finding out that I was on the hypermobility spectrum. And so, like, the criticism, I didn't really get a lot of criticism. I got a lot more love from the viewers than I did criticism. But the very little criticism that I did get, it was just like, didn't mean shit to me at that point because it was like, I had other concerns, like your foundation to everything is your health, and my health was not there. And and I was on that, starting that journey to figure out how to get myself healthy again. So when people are sitting there, telling me that I'm an asshole for, leaving TV early, how is that helping me in my journey to rebuilding my health foundation? So, but like, yeah, criticism too, like your portfolio, and stuff like that. Like, I know clients of mine knew that Ink Master showed only the small, and less complicated pieces out of all the tattoos that I'd sent them. But even like, yeah, getting your portfolio critiqued, like, that's probably one of the things that I ended up missing from college was getting your artwork critiqued. Like, if you keep doing the same thing and nobody's looking at it and telling you that it's wrong, you just might not realize that it's wrong because you keep looking at it and you don't have that outside perspective. So it's healthy, if you have if you have people looking out for you. Again, that was something that we had in Elizabeth. Like, we were always looking out for each other and wanting everybody to do better than the day before.
Who or what has had the biggest influence on your creative or professional work?
I think I chose that question because basically it's everybody I come across. Like, you're going to come across people that inspire you to do better because they're doing better. Or you're going to come across other people who are not doing better, but that encourages you to do better, because you're like, I'm not going to do what they're doing. So there's not necessarily any specific individual, like I would just say, like, the people, like when I first started tattooing and we had the tattoo magazines, the people in the magazines, like, to me, they were ethereal, and high and lofty and stuff like that. But then once you started going to the conventions, you started to realize that they were people just like you. So it's just collectively, like, everybody that I've come across has had some type of influence.
Are there any rituals or habits you rely on to stay grounded?
Tattooing. Like, I try to impart this. like as I literally was falling apart in 2010, like I pulled out, I had a rib pop out and pivot at my sternum, so it destroyed all the soft tissue on the right side of my torso, so my body couldn't hold itself up. And I basically had to step into just that whole ritual of tattooing, the setting up, the breaking down, the pulling the line work, and just like doing all of that, like because I was ripped in half, so I didn't. God, how do I explain it? Like it's just like, that there was, because it's a set pattern. You set up the same way. You break down the same way. No matter what the tattoo is, you sort of approach it in the same way. Like it's like, bottom, up, or the shading this way to that way and stuff like that. And so there's these patterns and stuff like that. And I had to, and so I was just leaning into those because it takes you out of your body. It brings you into your art brain. You can't feel your body. And so then it was like, if I didn't have that, I don't know how the hell I would have made it through that year, or the following years. Like, being hypermobile, you have no idea that anti-inflammatories and pain medication don't really work. So the things that you would think that would help you alleviate your pain didn't. So then I found like the repetitiveness and my patterns and stuff like that, because it just brought you into this other part of your brain. Like that was the thing that helped me get through that and helps me keep, and was grounding me at that point, and it, but like I've seen that, and like, in smaller doses throughout my career, like no matter what's happening to you outside of the shop, and no matter what highs and lows that life throws you, like you would just come into the shop and you have this pattern, and it's just and it just brings you somewhere else. It keeps you grounded.
What role does intuition play in your decision making?
So intuition. So intuition in my decision making. Intuition isn't conscious, I don't think. So I don't know how many times throughout the years, I'll have a consult with somebody, either in person, over email, over the phone, over Zoom, over whatever, and then I just, I again, it's a pattern, asking the same questions, and stuff like that, letting the people talk, and you just sort of like listen to them. And then it's like, when I then go to the internet and start doing my like Google research and start looking up imagery or references or inspiration and stuff like that, I just sort of just sit back, just start typing things, start scrolling, start clicking and stuff like that, and eventually something will come up where I'll be like, that's it, and then pull it into the project, and then it's part of the final project. And then somewhere along the way during the tattoo process or after we're tattooing or something like that, somebody will ask me, how did you know? And I didn't, but I just went with it.
Do you remember your very first tattoo, either the one you gave or the one you received?
Yeah, both. So, okay. So, oh, wow. Okay, so my brain is like, okay, so this is so many years ago. So many decades ago. All right, so my first tattoo, I believe that was oh my God, was that my armband or my ankle band? so armband was done by Thane Sawyer at the Ink Spot in Linden. And I just remember drawing something, I was like sketching something up, and then having him finalize it, you know, like make it tattoo ready and stuff like that. And he had said, he's like, oh, we'll just leave it open-ended in case you want to add on. And to me, I was like, what do you mean? You know? But eventually, you know, it is now incorporated in my sleeve, so I did add on.
I think everybody can see that on YouTube. I think we have a YouTube video of your sleeve.
Oh, probably. So, and then the first tattoo that I did, so that, well, we'll give the first tattoo that I did, my first apprentice tattoo that I gave somebody, because I did tattoo my grapefruits, and I ended up with a lot of grapefruit juice in my eye. I don't recommend that. But then my first apprentice tattoo was on my ex-fiance, and it was a fly above his Achilles. And at first he didn't want to get tattooed by me, and everybody in the shop like got on him for it, because like I allowed myself to be guinea pigged while he was tattooing his friends at his house. And so they were basically, yo, that's fucked up. Like, she allowed you to, you know, work on her before you had your apprenticeship, and she's had her apprenticeship. So, you know, so he finally gave it, relented, and was like, whatever. So I did, so I did that on his ankle.
If you had a year off to do anything at all, what would it be?
If I had a year off. Well, it'd be like an extension of sort of what was happening during COVID, you know, like if I had like a year off, like lots more movement would come back into my life. During COVID, I did a lot of walking, and like with tattooing, because you're sitting a lot, I definitely would do a lot more walking. I also at that point was like, okay, I still have the business to run. I still have, you know, tattooing to do, like getting ready for projects, and I have now the apartment that needs to be upkept, and then the building, the shop that needed to be upkept. So I had come up with like all like these daily like checklists of things to do. And so I think if I had like the year off, like I would dial that in, like and get that going as like a routine, and then go traveling to as many places as I possibly could in that year if money was not an issue.
What challenges do you think artists face now that weren't around 10 or 15 years ago?
Okay, yeah, because I've been 27 years in, so 10 or 15 years ago. Things that are different, you know, we have more, there's legislation that's happening that didn't happen before. We have, like MOCRA, like that's current.
What is MOCRA for people
MOCRA,
that don't know?
Okay, so for people who don't know, MOCRA is the Modernization of the Cosmetic Act. And so we fall under that umbrella. So they're looking at the dry, like the pigment that goes into the tattoo ink. So that's the dry powder that makes the colors. And and then also now I believe, and that's also then like with the other suspension stuff that's in there that holds the dry pigment and makes it liquid. So we haven't had that before, so who knows what, you know, what's going to shake out at the end of it, like, because we have people who are making these decisions that don't really know about tattooing. So we do have the trade organization, which is the Alliance of Professional Tattooists. So that, like, we have our, you know, our ear to the ground with it. And we're have people on board for NEHA and AFTO. So and they're like government adjacent, like agencies that put together well, legislation or like codes and things like that. I'm not really explaining it well. I will have to make a complete video on this so that I can have my notes next to me to explain it all, because there's so many acronyms and so many different things that are moving. But basically what we're trying to do is to have tattoo artists that are informed and know what they're talking about be put into positions where then we can have positive influence on what these people are doing that don't know how to legislate us, because they don't have the knowledge. So we're trying to impart the knowledge on them so that that this legislation then happens, so that it's sane, it's enforceable, and it makes sense. So like that's that, the costs of stuff going up, corporations coming into the community, like all of these things weren't known back then or a thing back then, and so it's like getting weird, social media, different types of marketing. It's like all of like these things that never were a thing when I started in 98. Like I didn't want to take like a computer class past how to make a website, because I didn't think that computers were going to be applicable to my tattoo career. And now I have an iPad to make my line drawings, so it's like the craziest shit, like that you don't foresee it, you don't see it coming, so yeah.
Even the sheer number of tattoo studios. It's like I remember when I got my first tattoo, I had to drive like 3 towns over to the nearest tattoo studio, and now it's like there's one on every corner.
Yeah, that too. Do we call it oversaturation? Because I know like when I got involved in 98 that it was already being called oversaturated. And and there, like at that point, I believe that like I tried to list all of the tattoo studios that I could, like in New Jersey, probably in 2000 when I did this, because I took a business management class and I did a business plan. But like you could put like all of the tattoo shops in New Jersey onto 3 lined sheets of paper, and I think that's a county now. Maybe not even. So it's yeah, so it's that too, this year. Like as a client, I don't know how to navigate that. I don't know, so to look at it now, it's yeah.
What do you think the industry needs more of right now?
I think what the industry needs more of right now is community. I'm seeing it, like you're hearing it, you're feeling it. I know like constant like advertisements now about like the salon suites and stuff like that. And people, it's like the community is being fractured and fragmented, and you over here, you over there, you over here, and it's and then you go to the conventions and they're being held in these large convention centers, and then again, well, we got some artists over at that hotel, another group of artists is at this hotel, we went to this Airbnb, I'm staying at the couch on my friend's house, and so again, it's like there's like the community isn't being drawn together, and they have the need for it, like I know because I just listened to Joe Capo's podcast the other day, and like that's what they're saying too, like a throwback to like when the shows, you held it in a in a hotel, and the convention was in the ballroom of the hotel. So you had the artist staying at the hotel, and you walked 150 yards to your booth, and like the convention was small. It was the size of a small ballroom, and you held the party inside. Like the welcome party was held in where the booths were, and then like later on in the evening, then you would go wander out to the lobby of the hotel and sit by the bar in the restaurant and mingle, go to somebody's room, like, and there'd be everybody in the room, like, and we don't have that anymore, and so I know Joe was talking about that they're doing something, I forget where now, where again they're just trying to bring more of a community feel, just drawing people together. And I think that that's what needs to be
happening. What responsibility do veteran artists, such as yourself, have towards the next generation?
I think what we should be doing, and what is very apparent to the state of New Jersey, is the lack of knowledge. Like, it's our responsibility, like I can remember, God, I think it was Body Graphics, Bill, where it was just like that you want to leave this community in better hands than you found it. And how you do that is by informing the kids, and it seems like these kids, don't know shit these days. And it's unfortunate. They don't know their tattoo history. They don't know their machines. They don't know things, and it's like, and it would seem to me that it was like simple, common knowledge things, and it's, but I came in to a shop where the group of artists that were there were very hungry and wanted to know everything, wanted to share and stuff like that. And so I thought everybody was like that, and they're not, and so you get this person who thinks that they know all the shit, they're a year into, tattooing, and they open up a fucking shop and get a bunch of apprentices, and it's like your knowledge base, like your pool of knowledge that you pulled from with, and then that year apprentice then brings, they're a year into their tattoo career and they bring on another apprentice. I'm exaggerating, but it's just like they don't have the years of experience. They didn't have their mentor who had years of experience. They're surrounding themselves with everybody that's, only a couple of years in, and it's like, what the fuck do you guys know? And it's like, and it's not that it's like, oh, you guys don't fucking know anything. It's like, you guys were deprived of beand taught shit, and this is the shit that you should be knowing, and this is the shit that you should be passing on through the generations, so yeah, I don't know if I explained that well.
Okay, well then maybe you can elaborate by answering this one. What's one thing you wish every new tattooer knew before picking up a machine?
Bloodborne training. Yeah, that, zoonotic diseases. Yeah, that kind of shit. Like they should know that kind of stuff before picking up a machine.
Because this is like a medical procedure.
Yeah, at one point New Jersey defined it as a minor medical procedure. I don't know if they still have that there, but at some point it did. But you're poking holes in the first line of defense against infection, so maybe you should know some shit before doing that.
How do you approach safety, education, and ethics in your studio?
We will be... So, there's so many shops. I don't know how many shops, like everybody raise your hand if you do this. But according to OSHA, yearly, you're supposed to have an exposure control plan meeting. And that goes through all of the procedures and everything that happens in the shop and why. It's supposed to keep your team safe and healthy, so that if you're keeping your team safe and healthy, that means you're keeping your clients safe and healthy as well. And, so we'll be having hours coming up. We haven't decided on a date yet, but we're going to be looping it in with a painting day. But yeah, that's what's technically supposed to be happening. You're supposed to have it explains your exposure control plan. So, where I got my template through the trade organization, through the APT.
Okay. What are your thoughts on tattoo licensing, regulation, and continuing education?
Okay, so continuing education, definitely important. When I was a 16-year-old cardiac patient and asking my cardiologist about, stuff, and he couldn't answer my damn questions, and then when he has his own quadruple bypass surgery, and then he's then researching cardiology, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go get me another cardiologist. So definitely continuing education is very important. Um, and then, oh God, legislating, only if it's sane and enforceable. Like if we're a community that used to self-regulate and then somebody decided that we weren't doing a good enough job, so then they start poking the nose in there, but do they actually know what they need to be knowing? That's where the problems start arising. So we need to keep them in line. And then what was the continuing education
it was
legislation
tattoo licensing regulation and continuing education. So
Okay.
tattoo licensing.
So tattoo licensing, yes. So in New Jersey, we only license the shop, not the individual practitioners. And like my feeling on it is they should license the individual artists. A lot of the other states do. But then with the whole, if you have a license, then you should, stipulation should be continuing education to keep it, to maintain it. And then also, like, if there's any infractions, if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be, so then it actually goes on a record, and then there's a consequence, then they could strip you of your license if you keep doing what you're not supposed to be doing. Like that would be great. But again, who's going to be in charge of that and how they're going to enforce it? Like we're here in New Jersey and we know our code is doofy, and there's definitely failings in our code. There's some good things, but then there's some really bad things. So, and it's like, who's going to be in charge of putting that together and implementing it and executing it properly? Those are the things that I think about,
So if you could change one thing about the tattoo industry tomorrow, what would it be?
Oh, what would I change? Oh my God, I think I might kill social media. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, even though that's what we're on right now, you know what I mean? Like that's like an aspect of community. But it's, I think it's the part of the social media that I would want to get rid of is filters and like the false expectations, the tiny tattoos that will not be age defying. Like the whole I need to get a picture for the gram and I need the likes, as opposed to needing to display an age defying tattoo that the client is gonna have for life, and it's going to be legible and readable, 1 year down the line to 30 years down the line to 50 years down the line. Like it's past the taking the picture. Like that just needs to be thought about.
What legacy do you hope to leave in the tattoo world?
All right, so my feeling on this is legacy is The Apprentices. Like that I have imparted knowledge to these people, that they will then carry through further, beyond me, beyond them. So, perpetuating, thinking about best practices, or like there's other people out there that say better practices, that there's like, we do it this way today, but then maybe tomorrow there's a better way of doing it, yeah.
Okay. How do you want your clients to feel when they leave your chair?
How do I want them to feel? It depends on the project. If we're doing cover-ups, then I would like them to feel like, they've closed the door, on one like close the book on one chapter and open up for the next chapter. A job, and then it's like with, like if they're just here, getting tattoos for shits and giggles, that they're, that's what got accomplished, you know, that they had a good time, you know, they have good stories.
Like that guy that got the stick of butter and his friends.
Yeah, things like that, you know what I mean? You know, or like when I was in Philly, my booth neighbor was doing Where's Waldo coming out of an ass crack. Yeah, you know, like somebody lost a bet, but they had a great time. I almost fell out of my chair laughing my ass off because, like, I didn't know what was going on at first because I'm busy tattooing, and then I looked over, I was like,
So, is there a tattoo project or concept that you're dying to do but haven't yet?
oh, I skipped over that question.
I know, but that's the best one.
I don't know. Like that's why I skipped it because I don't know. Like I haven't really put much thought into it, you know, because like I don't um because this will bring me into like how approaching tattooing. There's like a feminine way and a masculine way. Feminine is more that you're nurturing of the person who's getting the tattoo, their idea, and bringing it to life, you know. And then the masculine approach is sort of like just spreading your ego all over the place, you know. And it's so, you know, so I'm more into the feminine approach, you know, so that it's like that I'm more just there as a conduit to bringing that person's idea to life as a yeah, as opposed to like my concept. Like, you know, I haven't even thought about like what I would get tattooed on myself, you know, like large scale anymore. Like those ideas, I don't know. I was too busy falling apart and trying to figure that shit out. That like all of that, like I sort of haven't thought of, you know, like I haven't really thought about it. So we'll put a pin in it. We'll come back to it.
What is your dream guest spot or collaboration?
Oh God. Okay, so I always had thought that if, like, I couldn't, like, if a shop never happened, you know, like, because that was always like a goal, like, right from the beginning. When I first started tattooing, it was to eventually have a shop one day. But, you know, at some points that felt so far away that it was like, well, I could just hop in my car and then just go from French shop to French shop to French shop and then just see all of the United States.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
How do you see your field evolving in the next decade?
That is okay. So we're still gonna have our independent mom and pops, but I think that we're gonna be seeing more corporate influence on the community, which I don't like. You know, a lot of us who got involved in tattooing back in the 90s, it was because it was, you know, sort of counterculture. Like it wasn't mainstream. It was where all the weirdos could collect. And you know, so I don't like that idea. I see it a lot, you know, like you walk around a tattoo convention and you're just seeing all the same banners and you know, and sponsored by the same aftercare, you know, and those they're all corporate. So that doesn't make me happy. You know, the same like with our machines and stuff like that. Like not this past Wildwood, but the year before, talking to a kid, you know, where like he's spending $1,500 on a machine that like only is lasting 6 months, and then it breaks, and then they tell him he voided his warranty, so they want him to give him another $1,500. Like, come on, like don't stop taking advantage of the kids. Like, fuck off with that, you know. So, yeah, so that's like the downside, but I think like the positive, I think like on the other end of that, like you're gonna have like stronger, like independent people because of it. Yeah.
What legacy do you want to leave behind?
I think the only legacy for me to leave behind is the knowledge that I've imparted on my youngins here, the little ones. You know, and I think like with my handwritten tax record seminar, that too. You know, like a lot of people don't know how to do that, and I think that a lot of people want to know, and so that's why I put that together.
What advice would you give your younger self?
What advice would I give my younger self? Hold on. It'll be fucking a wild ride, you know, like, you know, like I never had like this, conscious, like thought and drive to be like, I want to be like an artist as I was growing up. Like I just always like remember like in grade school, like my sister wanted to be a singer, and then like Amy wanted to be a nurse, and then it turned to this, and then it turned to that, and then this one, you know, one of my friends wanted to be that, and they were just so like, this is what I want to be, and I'm just like, whatever happens, you know, like I never had like a defined goal, and but after I had decided that I wanted a tattoo, and
How did you come to that decision?
going to that tattoo convention when I was in college, yeah, like after, like, so I go to that convention, leave there. So well, at the convention, there was Mike Siderio was there. That was the artist that my sister chose to tattoo her, and we went on Sunday. These days, we know Sunday is the short day of the convention, but back then it was the only day that we could go because everybody was working on Saturday. So Sunday was the day that everybody had off. So we go to the convention, and my sister diligently looks through everybody's portfolios, picks Mike Siderio, and then sits her ass down and waits. And he knows that she's waiting for him. And then security starts coming through and kicking us off the floor. Yeah, you know, and so then Mike is like, oh my God, he's like, I feel like a dick. He's like, you've been waiting patiently all day. He's like, you know, he's like, I don't live anywhere near you. He's like, we're staying another night at the hotel. Would you mind, would you be willing to come upstairs and get tattooed? You know, and so we said, okay, you know, and so while my sister's getting tattooed, Mike's son, who was, I think, 4 at the time, walked over with a magic marker to me and my ex-fiance. It was like, will you draw on me? And we were like, sure. So then that solidified it. And so then it was like, okay, we're going to go and we're going to do this. So I go back to Rutgers. I was an undeclared, I didn't have a major. I was undeclared. And so then I immediately put a portfolio into Mason Gross, and then just kept calling him every day. Am I in? Am I in? I wanted to start choosing my classes for the next semester. And they're like, yo, that doesn't work that way. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, you're going to have to come in. If you get accepted into the program, you have to come in with the incoming freshmen. So then I would have to start my art classes my sophomore year. I was like, okay, like, whatever. Like, all right, you know. So then I just went and I filled my second semester then with the core credits, you know. So, you know, and then I did get into Mason Gross, and I then selected, and I started in my art classes my sophomore year, and I graduate in my 4 years like I wanted, even though I had Emma Amos tried to get me to do a 5th year. She wanted me, she's like, look, she's like, you walk for Rutgers and you get your bachelor's, and then she's like, and then you come back next year, and she's like, and then you become a Mason Gross student. She's like, you're an AB student, so you're automatically, you know, that's not going to be a problem. And she's like, in your portfolio, I already know your portfolio, so you're already in. So you just do a 5th year and you'll get your BFA. So I have 2 degrees in 5 years. well, I wanted to go tattoo. And I already was at the tattoo shop. And like I was already working in a waiting room. So then I was like, no, I'm good. And I didn't do my 5th year and I went right into tattooing. But when I graduated, my mom then gave me this little booklet that I was putting together when I was in kindergarten, and it was to learn handwriting, you know, and so and it said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I wrote artist. I had no fucking memory of it, none, you know. So like I just sort of never really was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, because once I started doing, I want to do these things, it felt like the universe was pressing back on me, and I wasn't getting what I wanted to happen, and so then I just sort of threw my hands up and just was like, okay, I'm just gonna stop pushing, I'm gonna stop asking, and we're just gonna go with the flow, and now I'm here.
And I don't have any more questions because I was so engrossed in that story that I didn't look at any more questions. Where do you find inspiration when you're feeling stuck?
When I feel okay, so when I get stuck, what do? Like, it hasn't happened in a long time. I think it's just like going out into nature is one of them. That sounds so hippy dippy, but like, but I think it's just sort of just like relaxing, like trying not to push anything, you know. And it's just like if I feel stuck, then it's like I try to like do something where it just sort of breaks the pattern, you know, like and it just sort of like distracts you, like you have to distract yourself to let like then the back of your brain do its thing, you know, and then I can come back to it. I think that took a while to learn. So, but yeah, just distract yourself, you know, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it needs to be, and don't stress about it. And then you can come back, and then your brain will be fine. And then you can move on.
If you could live in any era, when and where would it be?
Oh, God. I love the Titanic. I think I would want to be on the Titanic, but only between the ports before it went off to New York.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That reminds me of that Art Deco dice roll that we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to start doing
Is that why you're thinking the Titanic? Because you like the Art Deco style?
Yeah, I love the Art Deco. Yeah, it's beautiful. Hookah, like I love that stuff.
What's a book, film, or piece of art that changed the way you see the world?
I don't know. Goonies.
Tell me you're Gen X without telling me you're Gen X.
Yeah. So, yeah, no Goonies. But then, what was the Stigmata, too, was a very good film. So, yeah, that makes you open up your eyes. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas made me want to take a shower after seeing the movie.
How do you define a meaningful life?
Oh my God. How do I define that? I don't know. Again, like, just, I guess it's community and like friends and, you know, growth, knowledge. Yeah. I don't know if it goes any deeper than that.
What's the most meaningful tattoo you've ever done?
Oh, there's many. You know, I think it's like, you know, portraits of people past. just, or even like, because I do a lot of cover up work too. So then that's, closing a chapter and opening of a new one. So there's many. We probably could have a whole hour video of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you handle clients who want something that you don't vibe with artistically?
Well,
There's a $500 handling fee.
Yeah. Yeah, like it depends like on what it is. You know what I mean?
Like what if somebody wanted to get a swastika on their forehead?
Oh yeah, no. Like I can remember in my apprenticeship, or even just when I was working in the waiting room, that my mentor, this girl wanted sweeter than ice cream written on the inside of her thigh. And like he's busy tattooing. I'm supposed to be the liaison between the waiting room and the artists, and so I convey that message, and he is the monitor to the waiting room, and he's like, who wanted that? And I pointed out. I was only in the shop a couple of weeks, and he basically like priced her out the door, but he's like, I don't want to do that, and he's like, people usually come into the shop married to the idea. And he's like, I don't want to be the one to do that. And he's like, but she's probably going to go get it done. He's like, so she's probably going to find another shop to get it done at. He's like, but I don't want to be the one to do that. So that was like one of the tactics that we were taught. Like if you don't, instead of saying, ew, gross, I don't want to do that. That you would price them out the door. But these days, you know what I mean? Like you would just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that, and just, I probably don't have that amazing of an answer to this because I don't really get brought weird projects like that, like I've covered up swastikas, but have I ever been asked to do one? No. Would I ever do one? No.
Well, what about those parents that brought their kid in to get Trump's face tattooed on the kid's neck or something?
Okay, so, oh God, okay, I don't, the details of that story are not, like, I'm not super clear on it because that did happen a little bit ago. Yeah. But I know that the kid, so the state that they got tattooed in, I do not believe has a stipulated age limit. So, and the kid was younger.
Like 9, I think.
No, it wasn't that young.
No?
Like 14 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the artist ended up doing it because I think the conversation was happening that they were going to go to somebody's house or something like that. And the artist was like, I would rather them get this tattoo done in a clean environment as opposed to
I think they also changed it from Trump's face to an American flag or something like that.
Something like that. Like I think that they talked. But yeah, like I said, I don't know the exact. Like I forget the exact details on the situation, but it was, because I think every tattoo artist has faced that in their at some point where it's like that they have to make like a compromise. Like I know like Kate Hillenbrand was talking about that. There was an underage kid that I think came into Good Time Charlie's, where I think he had like gang tattoos on him, and that came in to get him covered up, but he was underage, and she was like, I don't tattoo underage. The mother then came back with the kid and was like that she already had buried 2 of her sons, and she didn't want to bury another one. So then Kate then did the tattoo. So there's all like these very, very, individual stories like that. Like I had, I've had situations like when I was down in Elizabeth where it was like not ideal, but then it's like, okay, like it's the lesser of 2 evils. Yeah.
Do you think that the art of tattooing is respected enough as a legitimate form of fine art?
Yeah. I think so. You know, again, it depends upon who's doing it. Uh, you know, every tattoo artist, tattooer, you know, like we have our craftsmen, we have our, you know, artistes, you know, so it's definitely a spectrum, and it really depends upon who's doing the pieces. But yeah, there's people outside of the tattoo community that can, they either view it as craft or kitsch or, you know, fine art.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about? We have 5 minutes before the shop closes.
5 minutes. Ooh, 5 minutes. What do we want to talk about? What is there coming up? Oh, well, we're going to be going. So I'm going to be going with Casey and Corinne to the reunion for the Marked for Life convention. So that was the all-female convention that Dina Lippens had done back in Orlando. I think it went till 2014, I want to say, and she'd done it for like 19 years, every year in January. It was a nice show to go to in the middle of winter, where you drive down, and every rest stop you went to, you peeled off a layer of clothing until you were in your t-shirt and jeans when by the time you were in Florida. And like the women were super cool. You know, year after year, it was almost always the same ladies, and it was just, you know, I was just looking at pictures, and like 20 years later, like you know, I still have relationships with some of the women, you know. That's why I think the community is missing these days, because it was strong back then, you know, like you purposely went to the convention Thursday. That was set up. That was the welcome party, you know, and you didn't roll in Friday morning, you know, but also financially, you know, the economy was different too. So, but yeah, we're gonna be going there this weekend. I'm excited. I'm not looking forward to the airport, but everything else I'm looking forward to. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, any questions from the peanut gallery?
Nope. My peanut gallery doesn't have any questions. Does the TikTok peanut gallery have any questions?
Okay.
Okay. So I guess we'll say goodnight, and
Yeah.
we'll start cleaning the shop.
Yeah. We got cleaning to do.
So happy 27th anniversary.
We're gonna have ice cream cake tomorrow if anybody wants to stop by.
Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for joining the live. We appreciate you stopping in and listening to what Caroline has to say. And we hope you stop by the shop tomorrow for ice cream cake.
All right, see you guys tomorrow.
Bye. I don't know.
I can do a screen record.
How do I turn it off? Okay, and now.